Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to
I Have a Strange Story podcast.
So this is a podcast where two sisters retell your paranormal experiences. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Rebecca.
Welcome to the show, the Valentine's Day show. You see I dressed up?
Oh, you have a heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's adorable. Yeah. I didn't.
A lot of people are surprised whenever they say, "You have a heart?" I'm just kidding.
I didn't realize that this was a themed show. But you know, it is what it is. Like, I'm a Valentine as well. Look. I am lovable.
I have
I don't have a
my
heart.
little Valentine is next to me, but he's asleep.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah.
He's my Valentine. Yes. What if he gave me a Valentine's Day? Oh, wait. Thanks for joining the show, everybody. Mm-hmm. And if you like us, please subscribe and rate us. And we may send you a sticker if you send us a screenshot of your rating. And if you have any stories for us, you can send them to us at ihaveastrangestorypodcast@gmail.com. And we would be more than happy to share your paranormal experience with everybody else.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Is that all I was supposed to say? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Did good.
Do you have any announcements?
I have a piggyback to your announcement. So you tell yours first.
Oh, okay. My announcement is, even though I don't know, first of all, look at how pale I am.
I was gonna mention that like before we got started. I love it. I think you look gorgeous.
Why am I this pale? I'm so pale.
You look real pale.
I didn't know I looked like this. This is crazy. I think whenever if I buy like any type of like tinted moisturizer, I have to get like the porcelain like color or whatever. I just don't remember ever being this pale. Oh, look, my Valentine is up.
Oh, I can't see
You
him.
can see his little ear. Oh, okay. So my announcement is that I have a milestone birthday this month, and I got a haircut in preparation for my milestone birthday because you want to look good. Mm-hmm. And I even told the woman that it was my birthday, and I was like, so here's the picture of the haircut I want. And it was a picture of me.
Yeah.
With that haircut, because it was a haircut that I gotten before that I liked. And it was, down to here. The haircut was. And it was just like a shaggy bob. And she was like, yeah, okay. And then she gave me like a Dora the Explorer haircut instead. And it is awful. Like the first day, I wanted to turn to people and be like, I didn't ask for this. like nobody else would care as I was walking, but I want to be like, I know this looks bad. Don't I? I know. Like I was just so embarrassed. I remember just walking out of there. I think I had tears in my eyes because I was like, I just can't believe this crazy ass bitch. Like this is nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it happens to me all the time. People always give me Dora the Explorer haircuts, and I just don't understand it. If they are professionals and they can tell like how fine and straight my hair is, why the fuck would you cut it in a bowl cut? But I really relate to Maya from
Pen 15.
Pen 15.
Yeah.
I think I was the most like her character the more I think about it. Especially when she's like, I'm really mature.
I cried to you about that the other day. I said the exact same thing. I'm just really maturing fast.
And I felt really bad because I was trying to be supportive, and then I kind of laughed and I said, sorry, you sounded like Maya.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
But I know what it's like to be Maya now because she got a bowl cut at the very beginning of but that's basically what it is. I have to curl it to make it not look that way, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. I think it looks cute, but
smooth sailing into my 40s, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Welcome. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What's your announcement?
So I have a couple of things. I also got a really shitty haircut. This is why I'm rocking the millennial like side part right now, because if I split it down the middle, which is how it was cut, it's giving Lord Farquaad. It's giving I'm a little boy who likes berries and cream. It's giving medieval times. Page boy. So it's millennial part to one side because it gives the illusion of body. But I wanted to tell you something that I think that I have the sight. I think that I'm learning that I have the sight because...
What's the sight?
I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
After I told you I got a shitty haircut, and you were like, I'm going to get a haircut too. I was like, it's going to look like crap. Like in my head, I thought to myself, yeah, you're going to get a bad one too. But what can you do with that information?
Yeah. There's not, I mean, I think that I felt it deep down inside too, that it was going to be bad. Like, because why would it be good?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was supposed to be something special. To make it worse, the day that I got my haircut was the day that I was meeting my boyfriend's best friend. They've been best friends since they were 5 years old. Mm-hmm. This is the first time I was meeting him and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was just mortified. And I told them too that I thought I had a Lord Farquhar or whatever his name is haircut. Mm-hmm. And they like laughed and they were like, I think his hair was longer than yours. And I was like, you're right. And they told me that I should just walk around saying that I was looking for Fiona.
Oh, they really...
Well, they were being silly.
Oh,
It was funny.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was all in fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but like, you just gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to be bad.
Yeah, I did. We have, and we talk about this all the time, we have parallel things happen to us at the same time. And like... everything that we go through. I think that we are the main characters, but like our storylines are at the same time. We're at this level of like everything is going to happen to us at the same time. So there's not a whole lot of like stuff that we have to trudge through. Anything.
I move. You get a bad haircut. I get a bad haircut.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really weird. The way
weird.
it synchronizes is very weird.
Mm-hmm. Our life.
God damn. Mm-hmm. Well, that's all I've got. It's just got a bad haircut. And then I have a strange story.
Oh, good.
Believe it or not.
That's what we're here for.
First, before I go into my strange story, that has to do, I just want to hold this, you know? It has to do with love. But since we are on the week of Valentine's Day, I thought about giving the history of Valentine's Day, which I know, like, I feel like I'm learning more and more about Christianity. And it's really interesting to me how much historically the like Crusaders did to kind of get rid of other religious practices and beliefs.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But not in this case. But not in the case of Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I think they may have made it a little bit better.
Okay.
Comparatively to how it used to be practiced.
Okay.
So February is a month that was added to the Roman calendar. And there's a couple of things that Valentine's Day is based on. It has been meshed, kind of. So Februus is an ancient god of purification. He was also worshipped as the god of the underworld.
Oh.
And the month of February was named after Februus.
Okay.
During this time. Okay. So he's also, it was named after him. And there used to be a festival during the month of February, and it was the days of the 13th through the 15th. And it's where they celebrated like purification, because he was also a god of purification on top of being the fucking god of the underworld. The month of February is named after a god that was known as the god of the underworld.
Okay. A god of the underworld and purification.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, I'm trying to find like how that overlaps.
I don't know.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so there was another celebration during this time, and it was called I'm going to probably pronounce it wrong, Lupercalia.
Okay.
Lupercalia. Okay. And so this also honored another god named Faunus. Ooh. And so what they did during this celebration is the men would sacrifice a dog and a goat. Oh. I know. And then the women would line up and they would be naked, and the men would whip them with the hides of the dog and the goat, because it was thought that this would bring about fertility for the women. And then the women, their names would be put like in a jar, and their names would be drawn by the men. And then the men would just get that woman for the day. And then they would try to have babies all day, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's romance.
Yeah. So they would be matched for the day. So later on in time, so this was celebrated for quite a while, right? So these two things, the purification, the whipping of women so that we could fucking get pregnant. And so later on, the Normans celebrated what they called Valentine's Day. Oh. And this was a day where you celebrated the love of women.
Yes.
But it was also in the month of February, right? Yeah. Yes. So it started to change a little bit. And then Shakespeare enters the picture. And Shakespeare romanticized this celebration of women. And it started to gain a lot of traction in Europe. And they started to hand out handmade cards to people on Valentine's Day to celebrate the love of women. And then it made its way to the New World, and it was industrialized. Oh, then there was the Industrial Revolution, sorry. And that's where they started doing like a mass production of cards, right?
Oh, yeah.
So cards entered the celebration of February. And then in 1913, Hallmark in Kansas City, Missouri, really started to mass produce Valentine's Day cards. And that's where Valentine's Day comes from, essentially.
Wow.
So it started out with beating women so that they could get pregnant. And then, does it look like there was something wrong with me when I paused like that?
Yeah, you kind of like glitched.
I know, it's kind of weird. I was like, and then it was the celebration of loving women, and then it was just romanticized. So, but this is where fucking Valentine's Day comes from. That's the origins of it. Awful treatment of women. And so like, I think whenever I was younger, I used to be like, Valentine's Day is a corporate holiday. I don't celebrate it. But like, God damn, I would rather have that.
Yeah.
I would rather have what it is today than what it was.
Right.
Can you believe it?
You know.
Okay, so that's...
It's just, I mean, it's just like men throughout the years just not knowing anything about women, you know, like...
Yeah.
How about we whip them with some...
Yeah.
How about we cause them pain with some skins of some dead animals? And then how about we just pick a girl and get her pregnant?
Yeah, that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
It's just for the love of men.
Fun times.
Like, they just have a hard time getting it right, you know?
Yeah,
like they struggle. I'll go a little bit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go with the theme of Valentine's Day and love and celebrating women, all those things. And so the story that I have is actually about a woman who has a strange story of falling in love and marrying a poltergeist. But things aren't going well, from what I understand.
Bummer.
Yeah, so she's a British songwriter, and she met this ghost when he just burst into her room on a stormy night. And she says he's very handsome. She didn't describe what he looks like. But after 5 months of getting to know each other, they decided that they were going to get married.
Wow.
And they got married on Halloween in 2022 in an abandoned church. And it was, the invitees were both living and deceased.
Oh.
And she said that some of the deceased folks who attended were Marilyn Monroe, Elvis, and Henry VIII.
Wow.
Attended this wedding. Mm-hmm.
This guy must have known some people.
Yeah. But it was kind of rough because apparently at the wedding, her husband made a comment about how good Marilyn Monroe looked. And it upset the bride. And she confronted him and said, like, why would you say that? Like, on this day, like we're getting married. So it kind of started out rough. Like, to me, that was maybe a red flag. Mm-hmm. So then they went on their honeymoon and they went to Wales for their honeymoon and they were on a beach. And she says that's when something else kind of weird happened, that she had ice cream that she was enjoying on the beach. And then he apparently tried to become intimate with her. And she said it ended with her just being covered with ice cream all over her face and then sand on top of it and then sand all over her body. She wasn't really happy about that.
Yeah.
And then he also allegedly in the hotel room drank all the liquor and then didn't have any money to pay for it. And so she was stuck with the bill of all the liquor from the hotel room.
Oh my God.
So time goes on a little bit. So now we're in April of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't been married very long, but they also didn't know each other very long before they got married. And she said that things have gotten a little worse, that she's having a lot of dreams about him inflicting pain and torture upon her.
Oh.
And she's tried to address it with him, and she says that he just really doesn't take it seriously. And so she invited a psychic to come, and he took it even less seriously with the psychic because she was trying to address it because she wanted the marriage to last. But she says that the behavior has just gotten worse and that he is taunting her with the constant sound of a crying baby. And so she is seeking the services of an exorcist to help just banish him away from her permanently.
Oh, man. Poor thing.
Love didn't win. I know.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, you don't really know anybody at 5 months, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
No,
But I also
agree.
Yeah, I don't believe in love at first sight or any of those things. I'm an old-fashioned gal. I want to get to know you.
Yeah. Give me a long engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another story I read that was about a woman who, as a teenager, fell in love with a zombie doll that she was gifted by her father. And it was a female doll. And it took a couple years for it to build, and then it built up into a more serious relationship, and that she has married the doll. She married it in her father's yard. And she has since then had 6 zombie doll children.
Okay.
That also reside with her. And she took a short amount of time where she was dating a male doll that's like a huge alien doll. It looks like an alien, but that she's not intimate with him. But she and I think the doll's name was Kelly. They all sleep in the same bed, but she's not intimate with the male. She's only intimate with the female. But that seems to be going well for her.
That's good. That sounds like a polyamorous relationship or something.
I suppose so. She said she dated a real human man for a while, but that it didn't go well. And then she just wanted to be with her dolls.
Good for her.
So she went back to them. Yeah.
I
mean, yeah.
If that works,
Okay.
Yeah. That's what works for
you
her.
find love wherever you need it. Like, I get it.
I know.
So those are my stories of love. I tried to find it's so hard to find stories. Like, you would think it'd be easy. Like, I want to find a story about a haunting that happened on Valentine's Day. And it's just difficult to find those very specific stories.
Yeah.
So we went with just love stories that were kind of paranormal.
I think those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I've got for my stories today.
I just want to ask you about the zombie doll.
Okay.
Okay. So was it a doll that was a zombie, or was it like a zombie entity in a doll?
It's a doll that looks like a zombie.
Okay. Gotcha.
But in the past few years, she gave the doll kind of a makeover to make it look more human and not like a zombie. And it's bigger. It's like kind of like a almost life-size doll.
Okay.
And she has the children that they have that are dolls. All of the dolls look like zombies.
Okay. Interesting.
And the only non-zombie doll involved is Robert, is his name. So I remember the doll's names, but I don't remember her name. But Robert, who looks like an alien, he has like a green face, and he has
the big eyes.
the almond black eyes.
Yeah.
But she dresses him up in male's clothing.
Okay. That's interesting. Yep. All right. Good for her. Sounds like she's found love.
Love stories.
Yeah, I don't have a love story, but I know. I am going to talk about the color red. So that's kind of like a love color, I guess. But this like I said, has nothing to do with Valentine's Day. I'm actually going to talk about the red goggles that the soldiers used to wear during the Vietnam War.
Okay.
Yeah. So during the Vietnam War, the soldiers were given these night vision goggles that allowed them to see, I think, at least two colors. There was yellow and there was red. But the red one was to enhance their vision, like to see further out, their long distance vision, I guess. And the captains and the pilots were instructed not to wear them. So it was just the soldiers that were told to wear them. And so what was happening, though, is that whenever they would put these goggles on, they would start seeing demons. And it was all across, like, the soldiers of Vietnam, the American soldiers in Vietnam. And they would report seeing these winged, demon-looking things with long claws, and they would be in the canopies, and they'd be jumping off, and they'd be flying around. And so this is actually a story that was told by a captain that he told his son, and his son just relayed the story. But what he had witnessed whenever he was a captain and he was seeing these soldiers with their goggles was kind of the same thing. So his story begins, he was in a helicopter, and he had the pilot there, and then he had a gunner, which is a soldier that has the gun. And they were flying over this area that was like a peaceful jungle forest area where not a whole lot of enemies were discovered. And so they were just flying over, and it wasn't just their helicopter. There was a couple of them. So it was like a brigade or whatever. I don't know what a group of helicopters is called. But it's at night. They have their night vision goggles on, and the gunner in his helicopter just starts shooting. And they're like, "What are you shooting at?" And he's not shooting at the ground. He's shooting directly out. So there's nothing there that they can see, but there's other helicopters and other American soldiers around him. And so he's actually putting other people's lives in danger by just being, shooting out. And so the captain is like, "What the hell is going on?" And the guy took off his goggles. He was shaking. He was sweating. He said that his eyes were dilated. And at first the captain was like, "This guy's on heroin. He's on some type of opioid," because there was like an opioid crisis during the Vietnam War. But he's like, but there was really nothing else that indicated that he was on any type of drug or anything like that. And so he talked to the soldier, and he's like, what are you shooting at? What did you see?" And the guy goes, "There was a flying demon right there. And it saw me, and it was coming at me, and it was gesturing towards me like it was going to get me." And he's like, "I had to shoot it." And the guy's like, "There's nothing there. There's, it's dark. They can't really see a whole lot," but he couldn't see anything out there. And so he's like, "Okay, let me try on these goggles." And so he put the goggles on himself, and he saw what that soldier saw. He saw the demons in the trees with their wings. Whenever they made eye contact together, like they could see each other. Like they were like, they were just like, "I see you, you see me. I'm going to come and get you." It was kind of a revelation, I think, for both parties that they were able to visually see each other. And so after that happened, this captain was like, he ordered all of his soldiers to stop wearing the goggles. And it was him who kind of instigated that for all of the American troops. So after he told his troops to stop wearing them, it was like across the board. The soldiers were told to stop wearing them. And these weren't the first design of of night vision goggles. They were developed like in the 30s, I think, during the First World War. And they were that green light that we saw. But they switched to this red dye, hoping that they could see visually like further in the distance. But what it was doing instead was people were seeing demons and shit. So,
oh my God.
I know, right? And so he said that after this experience of putting on the goggles, he had weeks of nightmares, of paranoia, of like just a feeling of unease that something else was going to happen to him. and he only had them on for like a few minutes. The rest of the soldiers that wore them, they had them on for at least like 60 days, I think. Either 60 or 30 days. Like months, years of psychological issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of paranoia.
Like, how could you keep putting them on? Like, I'm not blaming them, but like, I can't imagine how terrifying it must have been to have to keep putting them on, especially if like you were ordered to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing.
But I wonder, I mean, I know this sounds conspiracy theorist, which I think some I'm into, you know, some I'm not. But with everything that went into the Vietnam War and how much protest there was, and then the opioid crisis, because opioid was huge in Vietnam and a lot of the soldiers became addicted to it. And then the mental health crisis when they came back. But do you remember also there was a shift? World War II soldiers were heroes when they came back. And Vietnam soldiers were not celebrated at all. They were spit on. They were treated awful. They didn't get any treatment. Like, you came back from World War II, you got a house.
Yeah.
You came back from Vietnam, you lived on the streets.
Yeah.
Like, is there a link between what they were seeing and the goggles and all that stuff, and then how they were like chastised when they came back? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Were they treated like they were crazy for a reason because the government didn't want people to know what they had seen and take them seriously?
Yeah, you know, I didn't know a whole lot about the Vietnam War. I think that you know more about it than I do because it's just not something that's really interested me up until now, because there was a lot of shit that went on during Vietnam War. And I think that it was one of those things where like America didn't even need to get involved. You know, it was questionable that of what it was really about. It doesn't seem like this was a war that we had anything to do with. You know, I think that's probably true for a lot of wars, but America, that's what we do. We get involved. But it does seem like there was a lot more psychological warfare in this particular war because I think there was Agent Orange, which was like a chemical that they were exposed to. There was, gosh, I can't even go into some of the things, but also in Vietnam, like in areas where the locals were friendly to the American soldiers to help them guide them through the jungles and guide them through the woods, they would be like, don't go into this part. We don't go there because there's ghosts, there's monsters, there's things that we just leave alone. And the American soldiers are like, these are just superstitious, you know, locals, and we're going to go in. And they were exposed to like seeing really scary shit and it was like up close. And so I think that a lot of time, you know, we don't know, was this, they're going to hear about
that was silly. Becky's earpiece just fell out. Oh no, you went black on my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, that was a paranormal thing. So like, yeah, what was going on? Were they seeing stuff, or was it induced? Was this just testing on American soldiers? This is also a thing that I learned as well in active war duty in like World War II, World War I. The soldiers had like 30 days on the front lines, you know, of active war duty. In the Vietnam War, they had over 200 days of active war duty. Like it was
insane.
It was insane.
Like what those men were put through is something that we could never fathom, and like how awful it was, because on top of everything that you've talked about in the monsters, because there were other reports of different types of beasts they saw. There was like a beast that was kind of like a Bigfoot type beast that they saw in the jungle as well. But on top of that, they also had the psychological issue, because they would, the culture in Vietnam is one of sacrifice for war, as kind of like we've seen in the history with the Japanese during war, that they'll sacrifice themselves, and that there's a lot of honor with dying during war. And so they would also use women and children to carry explosives up to the Americans. And then they would kill a bunch of them. So a lot of the Americans, they didn't know who to trust. And so whenever they would see children and women running to them, they had to make the choice. And they would just have to shoot the children. They would ask them to please stop. And if they didn't, they would shoot them. And then sometimes they would see that it was an innocent kid or an innocent woman, or it wasn't. And so that really fucked with a lot of the soldiers over there too.
Yeah.
And then if you go into other cultural things, a lot of, at the time, Black men in the United States and other people of color were drafted, and they didn't even have the same rights as the white people, and they didn't get paid the same amount, but they did the same work. But because they weren't white, they got worse treatment, and they didn't get the same pay and all those types of things. And they endured all that shit with them.
Yeah.
I mean, the Vietnam War is just something else to dissect.
Yeah.
But like the psychological stuff, the stuff that they saw, and then how they were treated when they came back is just insane.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you got me on. I'm so excited that you want to talk about all this.
I know. I was talking, maybe we should just do an episode of the Vietnam War. I think there's enough stuff in there to like.
I love it. I'm going to send you some Vietnam War movies to watch.
Okay.
Well, I think you'll learn a little bit about it, because I think some of the movies do go into what they were seeing, but they depict it as like hallucinations due to opioids.
Okay. That's the thing too, is like, you just don't know. There was so much going on. They couldn't even, don't think that they could even trust their own minds at that point. Mm-mm. Like is it the drugs? Is it the chemical warfare? Is it the long days of having to kill people? Is it killing civilians? Like, yeah, of course they're going to come back fucked up. And then they give them these red goggles that make them see demons. And like, I just want to ask you, if I gave you those red goggles today, would you put them on and look out your window?
Yes.
I would too.
I would totally put them on. I would put them on a lot of places I went. But you know what it reminds me of? I can't think of the movie. I don't think that you've ever seen it, but it's a movie where this guy gets like these, it is in the 80s. Mm-hmm. He puts these glasses on that shows like what the advertisements are really saying. And it's like an alien society that's there. Mm-hmm. And the advertisement says like, kill all humans or whatever it is. Yeah. And then he'd take the glasses off and it was a woman drinking Coca-Cola or something.
Okay.
And then he would see the other aliens who looked like skeletons kind of walking around. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, but I would put those glasses on too.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of like thought for a little bit, you know, there was a lot of, war is bad for everybody. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of like scary energy. And so you just kind of wonder, is that attracting these scary looking demons? Or were they seeing into another dimension or seeing a different type of energy? Like, to me, it kind of seems like maybe they were seeing a different energy. And these are manifestations, or not manifestations, but these are entities of this energy who come to like feed off of it, you know? Like they're there to survive and thrive, and they're kind of scary looking.
I think it makes sense, because there's also the reports of UFOs, of course, being seen during Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And like I've talked about before, and I think you've mentioned before, that a lot of times whenever there are alien sightings, there's always a message, and they say, we're protecting you from each other. We're protecting the world from humans, from, you know, fighting. And so if that was attracted during Vietnam, then I can understand all this energy also attracting the demons and everything to come. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
But then it makes me want to ask you, relating back to my story, would you date a ghost?
I don't know if I would or not. I think that I would. So first of all, I would have to be like 100% sure that it was a ghost. You know what I mean? Because you and I are the same. Like, nothing paranormal happens to us. It just happens to other people. So I think that I would have a really hard time, like, knowing for sure that there is a ghost that I am dating, or if it's just in my head. It depends, it just depends on the guy. Like, do we have a connection?
Okay.
But I think that I probably could. Like, if I knew, like, if this apparition came before me and we connected and we, were cool, I think that I probably would. I would think I would probably actually be very happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you date a ghost, Lindsay?
I don't know. The only ghost that comes to mind would be Joshua Chamberlain, who fought in the Civil War.
He's your
Union side.
Your crush.
Yeah, he's a general. Yeah. He was a general, but he did Little Round Top. He won the war. No, he didn't win the war, but he won that battle. Okay.
He won the battle. Yeah, I knew who that was without you even telling me, because I knew that you love him so much.
Yeah. But I think once I got to know him, maybe I wouldn't. There'd be too many...
It's too much of a generational gap.
Yeah, he's a little too old for me, I think. And he would have different expectations of women.
Yeah. But maybe you could
I don't
just
think
be
it would
friends.
work out. I'd be his friend. I think that we
Yeah.
could be friends.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could date a ghost, to be honest. I don't think I could.
Yeah.
Maybe I could. I don't know. I mean, I see the benefits of it.
Yeah, definitely. The only problem is, like, it's if you break up, like, you have to call an exorcist.
Kind of like that woman is facing, that she's having to get in somebody to come in and like permanently remove him from her existence.
Yeah.
And that's hard. That's a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So to recap, we would wear goggles to see demons. You would definitely date a ghost, and the jury is still out for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just cross that bridge whenever we get there.
Wait. Would you date a doll?
No.
That's a hard no for me too.
Yeah.
Lars and the Real Girl. Did you ever see that with Ryan Gosling?
No.
He dated a doll in that.
Wow.
But then he ended up going through a lot and like healing a lot. And then he dated a real girl.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, the doll just got him through.
That's great. Yeah, sometimes you just have that girlfriend or boyfriend that's just there to help you grow.
Yeah,
And if it's a doll, better yet.
Ryan Gosling, I have always loved him.
I know.
He's always been so great. And all this latest stuff with Barbie, God, what a great guy.
You know what's interesting is that I know that a lot of people like him. And I think that a lot of people like him because he's good looking. And also he's the hey girl guy. Although he never said hey girl.
Right.
But I've not really seen a whole lot of things with him in it.
He does really good movies.
Yeah.
The one thing that really got me about him, so I did like do you know why the whole hey girl thing happened?
No.
Okay. So the hey girl thing happened because a very prominent feminist saw an interview with him. Mm-hmm. So he did a movie called Blue Valentine. And in the movie, he has an intimate scene with his wife. And the movie first depicted him performing oral sex on her. And the movie got a rating of NC-17 because of that. Mm-hmm. And when they interviewed him about it, he was like, I think it's awful that movies can't portray a loving married couple with a man doing that to a woman, and then give it that rating. And he was like, but if a woman were to do that to perform on a man, or if a man were to have intercourse with a woman, it still gets a rating of R. And he said, that's really fucked up. And he said, we need to portray men doing that to women, and it needs to be normalized. And so that's where it came from. So then that feminist started she started putting pictures of him with like really like prominent like quotes from feminists, and then the whole hey girl thing started from there. And he loved it. Yeah. They even interviewed him about it. They're like, do you know about this? And he was like, he just smiled and he was like, yeah, I'm okay with it. And like he let people print stuff with his picture. Like he didn't stop it. He was like, let's let it keep going.
That's really sweet.
I know. I had a Hey Girl book.
Oh,
I know. I don't have it anymore, but it was all his pictures with like feminist quotes.
I had the thing that I liked most about him, I think, is somebody put this compilation together of like Ryan Gosling won't eat his cereal. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite.
Where he's like, he's such a doll. What a great guy.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Would you date Ryan Gosling?
He seems like a person who I would like to date. Like, he seems like he would have a personality that, like, we would get along, I think.
Yeah.
But I also don't look like Eva Mendes. So, that, like, yeah, he seems like a nice person, like a good person to date.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to bring up what you told me?
What?
About looks and stuff like that?
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Because I said the same thing about somebody.
About looks?
Yeah, it's okay. We'll talk about this. Now you have to say it. I'm a little embarrassed to say it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all we have then. We talked about love, like where Valentine's Day like originated with the Romans.
We talked about
falling in love with ghosts and zombie dolls and the fucked up Vietnam War.
Color red. Night vision goggles. It's all about love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess that's all we got for the day. I hope everyone has a great Valentine's Day.
How do the kids
You know how the young people do it?
How do they do it? Hang on. Oh.
Is it like this? I'm young.
Me too. From my heart to yours. That needs some practice.
Well, I guess until next time, goodbye.
Bye.